Hi, I'm Joanna Caldwell at Otter Creek Yoga in Middlebury, Vermont, and we are making these short practice videos so that you can join us and keep your yoga practice going at home, and hopefully we are all going to find the best things about being home and practicing social distancing as a way to keep all of our communities safe. So I am going to be starting each of these videos with a very short yoga philosophy segment, which is just how we start class here at Otter Creek Yoga. And we're going to start with the very first of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Sutra 1.1, Atta Yoganusasanam. It means now the teachings of yoga are presented. And what we'll be doing is chanting this. We're going to make the sound of Om all together. I have a little bit of a creaky voice, so I hope that you will drown me out in the Om with your beautiful chanting. We'll make one big Om all together. Then I'll chant the sutra so that you can hear it. And then I hope that you'll chant it with me 3 more times. Atta, that means now. Yoganusasanam. Now the teachings of yoga are presented. Let's take a deep breath in. Om. Atta Yoganusasanam. Atta Yoganusasanam. Atta Yoganusasanam. Atta Yoganusasanam. Harihi Om. With an exhalation, please bow your head down. Release your hands down. And with an inhale, lift the head and softly open the eyes. So these Yoga Sutras are a really beautiful gift to us, and they can anchor us, they can anchor our practice and teach us a lot about the world, the inner world and the outer world. And I like to start each of these videos after we do the sutra, the gift of the sutra, with what I'm going to call the awesome gift. The awesome gift is a real, actual, tangible gift which I will be mailing to one lucky person. Every time we release one of these videos, we are really excited to see your comments, your suggestions, your questions. And so if you would do that, if you would comment on the video, then we're going to draw a lucky winner each day and send them this gift in the mail. It's going to be different every single time. I have all kinds of exciting ideas for what the gift will be. Today's gift is a book that I read a couple of years ago that had a really big impact on me, and I really want to encourage everybody to find this book and read this book. So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo, who's a Seattle-based writer. And she's just wonderful. I'm going to just read the first blurb on the back because it happens to be by one of my other very favorite writers, Lindy West. I don't think I've ever seen a writer have such an instant, visceral, electric impact on readers. Ijeoma Oluo's intellectual clarity and moral sure-footedness make her the kind of unstoppable force that obliterates the very concept of immovable objects. So, of course, yoga is about opening our heart and opening our mind and growing and learning constantly every day that we're alive. And I'm guessing that most of you watching this are alive in the United States, which is a very, very, very long and painful history of racialized terrorism against Black people. And so if we are white, which I know a lot of us are, we need to take on the responsibility to learn more about race and racism. So I hope that everyone will read this book, and one lucky person's going to get this book sent to them in the mail. So I welcome your comments, suggestions, and questions. And now let's start the asana part of our practice session. Hi, we're back for the asana portion of today's practice, and I would like to introduce our model, Tayler Goodwin, who has graciously agreed to do the postures so that I can focus on teaching. So we are going to start, as we often start in yoga class, with Tadasana, mountain pose. So Taylor's going to press her heels down. She's going to make her feet, you can face this way. She's going to make her feet super even. She's going to pick up her toes and spread them out, and then push the heels down and draw up through the legs. Good. Now we're going to add the arms. We're going to stretch the fingertips down toward the floor and lift the very crown of the head up. Beautiful. The next pose is Urdhva Hastasana, which means arms reaching up. Big lift up. And I'm going to release my arms down, but let Tayler keep stretching up toward the ceiling. And she presses her heels down into the floor as she reaches the arms up. Nice big reach. Take a deep breath in. When you exhale, touch the blocks. You're going to bring your chest forward, and this is a concave Uttanasana. People who are practicing at home, let's come up a little higher, Tayler, turn them taller just to show. If you're, move them a little bit forward toward the front of the mat. That's good. So what we're going to show here is that when she's got her fingertips on the blocks, she's going to reach down into her feet and pull up strongly on the legs, getting her legs as straight as possible. And then she's going to shift the weight a little bit more toward the fronts of her feet so the hips move forward. Yes, go a little bit more. Go forward. Yes, good. Now you see her hips are right above her feet, and she's going to work to straighten her legs and pull the chest forward. Really nice. And now take your hands onto your hips and up you come. Give a good lift of the chest, and again, crown of the head going up. Keep your hands on your hips and draw the tailbone down. Really nice. Good. Okay, we're going to move into some standing postures, and we're going to practice Uttita Trikonasana, triangle pose. So Taylor's going to turn this way, and you're going to take your feet wide apart, even wider. Use up a lot of the mat. And then you're going to turn the right leg out. We're going to use this block here. You're going to turn your foot. Okay, so getting ready for triangle. I'm going to have Tayler wiggle her foot all the way to my foot. And then the heel too. Beautiful. And then reach your arms out, big wide reach. So here, she's going to keep this leg straight, and I'm going to have you turn this foot out just slightly. Nice. Even a little more. Beautiful. She pulls up here on the kneecap. Now she's going to reach toward this side wall. Everybody at home, you could pretend somebody's doing this to you. I'm tickling her. Reach toward me, reach toward me, reach toward me, come toward me, come toward me. Good. And then she's going to touch the block. So nice. Look at that beautiful triangle pose. Now this arm will reach up toward the ceiling, and then we're going to press down into this foot. So this is the outer heel. Reach it down like you're a plant growing a root into the earth. Make the back leg nice and strong. And she's doing a beautiful pose. And then without taking this arm back, just lifting it straight up toward the sky, she can turn her chest to look up. Really nice. Now to come up out of the pose, reach the arm up and stand all the way up. Big reach. Beautiful. Now we'll keep the feet wide, but turn to go the other way. So I'll bring the block over here. And she turns this foot just a little, really good. And then the back foot, again, you turn the heel back. And she's going to press down that outer foot. Do you see how the more she pushes this heel down, the more this thigh moves back, which is really good. Now she stretches the arms out, And from the armpits to the fingerprints, you reach out. You're taking your hands as wide apart as you can. Take a breath in. And then people at home, remember I showed this on the first side. She draws this hip in and she reaches her hand. And down she comes into the pose. Really nice. Okay, so triangle pose is about being on one plane, and Tayler's showing this really nicely. This arm's going straight up, and she reaches her two hands apart. And if you're stiff, I'm just going to show this. She doesn't need this, but a nice way to work at home, we're just going to show for a second. Take this block on top of this one. So if you're stiff, you take more height. And even you can use a chair. And a lot of times we do use a chair here in the studio. Now let's go to the lower block, just for fun. If you're flexible, you can go lower, which she is, and she can. Good, and then she's gonna reach this arm up to stand up. All the way up you come, good. Now try turning your feet parallel to each other. Bring them just a little closer to each other, and then reach your arms out, and then jump your feet together. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to go for downward dog. So we'll take the block away, and you can put your hands up here and just step your feet back. Okay, so here she's in it like a plank here, which is great way to build up arm strength and abdominal strength and the strength of the back muscles. And then from here, she's going to pull her hips up and away from her hands. Very nice. Now, I always like to do the first downward dog with the feet really wide apart. So let's do that today. Go all the way out to the edge of the mat. And then another thing that you can do, especially if you feel stiff because you're just starting out, you take your heels up. So go ahead and do that, Tayler. Yeah, so she lifts up. With your heels high like that, it's easy to get your legs super straight. So think about exposing this area at the back of the knee. Can you take your hips up and away from your hands? Up and away. Very good. Now take your heels down a little bit, but keep pulling up on your shins, working those shins up away from the floor. Good. Go ahead and go a little lower with your heels. Keep pulling up on your shins. I'm seeing some nice straight legs there. And then reach your hands into the floor. Very good. Yeah, sometimes we slip on these mats. So, is that okay? Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of help from a friend. Okay, now Tayler's going to bend her knees and rest. So she comes right down to the floor, bend the knees, and big toes touch, and knees apart. And then she's going to just sit back toward her heels. Yeah, you can point your toes back. Really good. And a nice way to practice this pose that we've been doing a lot in the studio lately is to take just a little support under your forehead. Try it with that and just see. What that does is it kind of equalizes where your head is and where your heart is so that your head's not a lot lower than your heart, and that's really relaxing. Take a deep breath in and see if when you're exhaling, can really let that breath all the way out. I haven't been talking about the breath as much as I usually do while she's been demonstrating these poses, and that is because I am on my learning curve of learning how to make a yoga video. So thank you all for watching and bearing with me as I learn and as we learn how to do this. Okay, so now Tayler, I'm going to have you come back up to downward dog. Yeah, and you can just tuck your toes. And this time, let's do it with the feet just like a hip distance apart. Good. And then let's see it with your feet a little bit further back toward the back of the mat. Yeah, nice. Okay, so now with your feet in this narrower distance, can you lift your heels up again and pull up on the shins? And so this area right above the knee and right below the knee, you take it back. Yeah, and that makes this nice and open. Same thing over here. Take it back. Good. Now keep that just like that, but see if you can take your heels a little lower. Yes, good. And it doesn't matter how low they go. They might stay pretty high. If you have a lot of length on the back of the legs, they might come down more. Just be with your breath now. Okay? And then I'm going to have you bend your knees and look at your hands like you're going to jump forward. Bend your knees like you're a cat. You're going to spring forward. Hop a little bit forward. Any amount. Good. And then straighten your legs. Good. And now we're going to put the blocks tall, and you're going to get your legs straight and your hands on the blocks. So back we go to Uttanasana. We're going to do another standing pose here, and this one, Taylor's going to step her right foot right through the blocks, even a little more, and then the back foot comes back, and we're going to actually hop it a little bit forward, just a little, and the heel comes down. So this one, she's turning her hips toward the front of the mat, and then here's the challenging part. She's doing a really nice job in this back leg. Keep that. And you're going to see, can you pull up here? Yeah, good. And this is the front hip, the right hip. Can we pull it back? So her hips are looking at the front of the mat. Okay, so again, you can play with how much height you use. If you're stiffer in the legs, you might even come up on more blocks or on your fingertips or put your hands on a chair. And see how nicely this is moving in. That's what we want. Okay, now try it on lower blocks and just see how that feels. So this is something you can play with, the height. Okay, now take a nice deep breath in, and when you exhale, bend your elbows out to the side and take your head down any amount. So she bows the head. Good, and then inhale, come back up. Good, we're going to do that 3 more times. Try not to disturb this leg or the back leg. Bend your elbows on your exhale and take your head down. So you're going to go with your own breath. People at home, when you're inhaling, you're lifting your chest and looking forward. When you're exhaling, you're bending your elbows out to the sides and taking your head down. Was that 3 more? 1 more. I lost count. And then when we exhale, go. And then the next time she inhales, she lifts her chest. She's going to push her back heel down and stand all the way up. Stand all the way up. Beautiful. Turn your feet so they're parallel. I will be your block mover, and we're going to turn for the second side. So we'll start on the tall block. She'll take her left foot forward, okay, and she'll adjust the back foot. So you turn the heel way back. Even more, turn the heel. And then turn to face the blocks. So this is a little bit longer stride, but I think this is good for your height. Okay, so inhale here and lift your chest. Exhale, touch the blocks. Okay, so once you come down, this is Parsvottanasana, intense side stretch pose. Once you come down, you pull this hip back. You roll this hip forward. Is that okay? Looks really good. So the work in the pose is to draw up strongly on this front leg as you press the outer heel down, to roll this back leg hip forward, and to lengthen the sides of the waist. And then, remember how we started just standing in Tadasana? And there's this idea of creating maximum length from the top of the skull to the tailbone. So you find that length here, you inhale, and then you can go to lower blocks if you want to. Okay, so people at home, you want to be working at a level where you feel some sensation, but you're not straining. So you can stay on the tall blocks if you want, Taylor, or you can go lower if you want to. We're going to go with motion like before, where you exhale and you bend your elbows out and you take your head down. So go ahead on your exhale and do that. Bend your elbows out, take your head down. Good. So this is a balance pose. She's working hard, right? To keep the balance. You inhale and come back up. So the challenge is you're moving. She's really moving. When you exhale, go down. Elbows go out. Head goes down. So that's movement in the arms, the head, and the trunk. But she's not moving her legs. Inhale, come back up. Good. Do 2 more like that. And she's doing a really nice job keeping the legs steady and moving with nice, smooth breaths. Beautiful. Let your head go. Good. And then when you come up, you're going to lift the chest. Good. And then steady, steady, steady. Press that back heel down to stand up. Beautiful. Very good. Okay. So now bring your feet parallel. You can face that way. Bring your feet parallel. Beautiful. And then make your feet really even. So the 2 heels are even. Good. And then I'm going to have you, let's do this together. I'll stand on your mat too. We're going to reach the arms up, big inhale. And then we're going to exhale, catch the elbows, and go down. Nice. And pulling up on the legs. And then you're going to move your weight just a little into the fronts of the feet. And then switch which arm is on top. That's okay. Yeah. And then we're going to take hands on the hips and stand all the way up. Lift the chest. Good. And then use your hands here to move the top of the buttock down and lift the chest, lift the very top of the head. Really nice. And then relax the arms. Good. Okay. We're going to do one last standing posture. Ready? Okay. We're going to move the blocks back down here. We'll start with them tall, like before, and then if you want to adjust them lower, you can. It's going to be the exact same legs. Right foot forward, step it through the blocks, left foot back. That's right. And then put your hands on your hips and pull up strongly on this leg to get it straight and lift your chest. And then just like before, hands to the blocks. So it starts out just the same. We're going to practice a mild version of Parivrtta Trikonasana here. Same work as before. She's going to pull up on this front leg. And then this leg, you're lengthening it in two directions because you're pressing the heel down into the floor and rolling that hip forward. She pulls up on the front leg, and then you're going to put your right hand right here on your sacrum. Beautiful. So here with your hand at the base of the spine, you're drawing the top of the head away from your hand. Yes, and then so this is your inhale. When you exhale, you're going to turn your chest toward me and roll this shoulder back a little, just a little. Nice. And then you're going to face the floor again with your chest, and we're going to do that 2 more times. So this is the inhale here. Exhale, turn toward me. Really nice. Inhale, look down. Exhale, turn toward me. Very good. And then both hands down, and then you're going to push the back heel to stand up. Beautiful. And we're going to bring the blocks for the other side. And this is the last standing pose. How you doing? Cool. Okay. So you're going to take your hands down. Good. Now really turn this heel back. Yes, and reach it down. Is that okay that I'm kind of stepping on you a little? So this is just to encourage the outer heel to go into the earth. And then this hip, she's going to draw it back, and she's going to really take these side ribs toward the wall in front of her and the crown of her head forward. Very good. So one thing that can be nice when you're coming into the twist is to move this block just a little closer to your leg. Yeah, and then she's going to put her left hand at the base of her spine. That's right. So here first, basic principle of twisting, we always lengthen first. On the inhale, we lengthen. On the exhale, we turn. It could be really a small turn. Good. And then when you're ready to inhale, you would look down again, and you lengthen. And then when you exhale, you turn. Nice. Good. And then when we go for the third one, she can really go for a big twist. Beautiful. And stabilize by reaching that back heel down. And then we're going to look down, and then we're going to come all the way up. So good. And then she's going to bring her feet parallel again. Are your legs getting tired?
That side's harder.
That side, there's usually one side is harder. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to have you keep your feet, no, that's good, facing that way, but go back towards this edge, okay? And you could go a little bit wider. Yeah, so you're staying on the mat. And then what we're going to do here is play a little bit with doing Uttanasana with the head supported. See if your head can reach that, and if not, we'll turn it taller. Yeah. Okay. Oh, she's so close. Okay, so we're going to go taller. Now your head will reach. And you can also, so people at home, if you're tight on the backs of the legs, I would say use a chair. Just put your head on a chair, okay? And then now, if the camera can come look from the side, this is something most of us need to adjust in our pose. you can see that her hips are behind where her heels are. So Taylor's going to move those blocks about 2 inches forward. And when she does that, she can shift her weight a little more toward the front of her foot, and you see the hips are coming forward. Do you feel steady? Or you feel like you're tipping?
Tipping?
Okay, go forward a tiny bit more and just see if that helps. Yeah, so this is tricky, but the heels do reach down. She's doing that well. And she's also, do you see how the leg position changed? Even a tiny bit more, like you're shifting the weight here to the ball of the foot. Yeah, so you can play with your head support. You can keep moving it forward if you feel like you need to get more weight in the front of the foot. This is nice. She has it in a good position here. Sometimes when you stay in this pose for a while, you start to feel like you don't need quite as much support under the head. Maybe we should see, now that she's been here a little while, and you can take your feet a little wider and see. So a small little bit, yeah, and then try. Oh, that looks really nice. I bet you're getting a big stretch.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so as long as, when you're getting a big stretch, you just want to make sure it's not a strain. It's a stretch, not a strain. Okay, that is such a nice pose. I'm going to have you come up, though, so that you can rest. Yay! We made it to the resting part of class. Okay, so let's rest in Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm going to show a really simple version that everyone can do at home. We're going to just take these away. We're going to take one blanket, a sterile blanket, and Taylor's going to lie down on the floor with your head going this way. So you're going to lie on your back right here with your head there. And keep your knees bent for a moment. Actually, I'm sorry, sit up for a second. Sit up for a second. Bend your knees. Bring your feet close to your hips. Good. So we're going to just take this long, narrow blanket right around her feet. Hold it with your hands. And then you're going to lie back. And you're going to let your knees open out. Yeah, now scoot a little bit to get even on the mat. And your head will be on the mat. That's good. Now bring your feet a little closer to your hips and then keep a hold of the blanket. You're going to put the soles of the feet to each other and let the knees open apart. How does that feel?
Fine.
Yeah? Okay. Want it to feel fine because this is supposed to be restful. So after doing standing work, it's really nice to give your legs a rest. And we're looking for a peaceful situation here. And you can see that where the blanket is touching the outer hip, it's giving your hips some support. Okay? Now I'm going to have you let go of the blanket and take your arms a little bit out. Beautiful. She looks so peaceful. So now Taylor's just going to relax and breathe here. And the idea is to let the legs release as much as possible. It doesn't happen instantly because she just did a lot of work in her legs and she was really pushing the heels down into the floor with all of those various standing postures. And so now we want to let the legs release into the blanket. And she can feel all the areas that are touching the floor. And I'm just going to name some of those areas. And so those of you who are practicing at home, you feel these different areas. So the back of your head, the backs of your shoulders, the part of your arm, the back of the arm that's touching the floor, some part of the hand. And you can see the palms are turned up, which is a gesture of receiving. The back of the pelvis. This is all touching the floor and relaxing into the floor. So here we let go. We let go with the force of gravity. And let the body release. We let the mind release. Atta yoganusasanam. Now the teachings of yoga are presented. In terms of asana practice, those teachings of yoga involve creating a lot of steadiness and a lot of spaciousness, which Tayler was demonstrating throughout this session. But just as important as that active work is the concept of letting go and release. So this is important, to have this time to let go, to relax and release, and to observe the breath. Let your body rest. Let your mind rest. Let go and rest. Now let's do one more resting position here, which I'm going to take this blanket away and have you just draw the knees in. Good. And then go ahead and stretch your legs forward. And then we're just going to drape that right across the thighs. And that little bit of weight from that blanket on the legs can just signal your legs to let go and rest. Yeah, and you can let your feet just roll apart from each other. Let them release. And continuing to observe the breath. Let your body relax and release. And I would say that a great practice for these videos is, if it's easy for you to pause the video and just stay in Shavasana for 5 to 10 minutes, that would be really good for your physical and mental health. We all need plenty of rest, so you can give yourself that gift of taking that rest. Feel free to do that whenever you're watching these videos, to pause and just stay a bit longer in the resting pose at the end. But now I'm going to pull the blanket off and have Tayler bend her knees again. And then here, take a really deep breath in, and then roll gently over to one side. Good, and it's good to stay on your side a moment, like she's showing. And here, as you're kind of regrouping and getting ready to move from asana practice into your next activity, to just take a moment on your side and observe the effects of your practice. And take a deep breath in. And then with your exhale, you can just press gently into the floor and sit all the way up. Really nice way to sit up. And then Tayler and I can say namaste to each other. Thank you so much, Tayler. Thank you. Namaste.